All right, here we are back at the Clemson Indoor Practice Facility. ACC play starts this week. Had full set of interviews here today, two coordinators, number of players. Will, I know you've already written this and put it up on the site, so hopefully you guys have read it. But talk to us a little bit about what you heard from offensive coordinator Jeff Scott.
Well, Jeff was asked by Pete Acabelli with the Associated Press today, the quarterback situation, if things stay the same and these guys are both playing well, are you guys okay with the rest of the year playing both quarterbacks? And basically says, is this like an indefinite thing? And Jeff Scott said, absolutely. It's, why wouldn't we want to? Because it gives us a little bit of advantage. People have to play for two quarterbacks all the time, and they figured out they can call the game. They feel good about calling the game with both quarterbacks, no matter who's in there. He talked about the chemistry,
which is a problem, but go ahead.
He talked about the chemistry with the team doesn't change no matter who's at quarterback. That there's a good chemistry there, and he talked about in a sense that it paid off this past weekend because all of a sudden Kelly Bryant gets hurt. He can't play in the second half. And now they're just, okay, we put Trevor out there, and they're not worried about it all because he's played so much already this year. Whereas maybe in years past, he's like, we're sitting there like, okay, you get a second-team quarterback that hasn't played very much, and all of a sudden you tell him, okay, man, the rest of the game's all you.
Nick Schuessler, it's you, buddy.
It's all you, rest of the game. You go out there and get it done. And keep in mind, when Kelly got injured, it wasn't like Clemson was totally out in front. It was still a competitive game at that point. And so Trevor went out there and finished it off for him. And that's if you're Clemson, you like that because that's what Jeff's saying. You like being in that situation because you feel good no matter what the situation is right now with your quarterbacks.
Well, I know you and I talked a lot over the summer. You wrote over the summer about how this was going to be a two-quarterback system. Mm-hmm. Gavin, you and I heard him, Coach Sweeney, talk about that in Charleston last year during the Prowl and Growl. So none of this surprises us. This is kind of what we predicted. But as you said, this, when the injuries come up, this is exactly why this is a great situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives Clemson an edge that most teams don't have. You got a guy with Kelly Bryant who showed at Texas A&M how valuable he is to this team from a leadership standpoint and the things that he can do. And then you got a guy like Trevor Lawrence who's just so unbelievably talented, and just this arm and his poise and all those things show. Probably he plays like a senior sometimes. I think that's the way some guys have described it. So it's a great problem for Clemson to have, and going forward, I think this offense gets better and better as the season goes on. I think you're going to see a pretty crisp offense by the time they get late in the season.
Well, and I think we got to stop talking about it as a problem and talk about it as an advantage.
Absolutely, it is. It's a good thing for Clemson. It really is, and that's one of the things we talked about early when we first kind of brought to light that they could play a two-quarterback system. Was it would be an advantage for Clemson, and if they do it the right way, it can work. And there's proof out there that it has worked in the past for other teams. So why not Clemson?
All right, Gavin, our last interview today was Trevor. Talk to us about some of the things you heard from Trevor.
Well, first of all, this is a big game, especially a big game for Trevor, a homecoming game. He's going to be playing 45 minutes away from his hometown of Cartersville, Georgia, in Atlanta when they play at Bobby Dodd Stadium this week. So Trevor talked about how he's going to have a lot of family and friends there. Jeff Scott joked earlier today that Trevor's trying to talk to other teammates this week, trying to compile as many tickets as he can to get as many people there that he can. But Trevor mentioned how excited he is to play in front of family and friends this week. And another thing he talked about, which was kind of interesting, is he talked about how he stays so calm. All the coaches talk about how he's poised. He never gets phased, no matter the situation. You could see that on the field. going to Texas A&M, first pass is a touchdown pass. So, it's just in front of the most fans Clemson's ever played in front of. So that's rare. You don't see freshmen.
But where's that come from?
It's poised, it is. But that comes from what Trevor says is his faith. That's what Trevor says he leans on. And before the games, he listens to Christian music. He's not worried about what everybody, all the fans, media. He's not worried about what they think of him. He's worried about what God thinks of him. Is the way I interpreted it. And he was asked if he searches Twitter to see what other people are saying about him. He says he tries to stay away from that. He tries during the season to keep his Twitter app or whatever deleted so he doesn't have to go look at that. And so, but yeah, one of the reasons he remains so calm and poised is his faith, Trevor says. Yep.
Another guy we got today, another five-star freshman. We got to hear from Xavier Thomas. He was first up today. Talked about how much more comfortable he's getting week by week. talked about how some of the guys are helping him. He mentioned Cleveland's the one that's probably helped him the most as far as just getting with him and watching tape together and doing things like that. And there's two studs right there. Number one offensive, number one defensive player in some of the rankings last year. Clemson's very, very lucky to have both those guys here, and both of them are starting to become better and better players, and by the end of the season they're both going to be phenomenal.
Xavier said that sack he made, it felt like it was going in slow motion for him. For the other 80,000 people, it sure looked like he got there quick, didn't it?
Well, it was crazy because he came around the corner and the guy was getting ready to run for 20 yards, and he's like, boom, no you're not.
That was just how special.
Yeah, that play was just, when he did it, I was like, first thing, because I was like writing something at the time, and I just saw part of the play, and I said, because it was so fast, and I was like, who was that? And I think it was Gavin. I said, that was Xavier Thomas. I said, great gosh. And I watched the video. I said, man, he got around that guy so fast. I mean, that tackle didn't even know what happened. He had no idea what happened.
When they talk about that first step, and that was a perfect example of that speed he's got, and the speed to be able to go around and catch the quarterback from behind. Not too many players can do that, much less freshmen can do that. So those are some of the key things we heard here. Monday interviews. We'll have a lot more coverage all week long as we prepare to go to Georgia Tech. We'll be taking, I think, 5 people down there to cover the game this weekend. Gavin and I got a Tour of Champions visit Friday night as well. So a lot of stuff headed your way. Stay tuned to TCI for the most complete coverage of Clemson football.